Wanted to start earlier today so I can hopefully take a break and come back later. I'm gonna study Uniswap and I'm gonna start by doing the Italian thing, then training Vim for 15 minutes or 10 minutes, and then going over the Uniswap repository. I spent a bunch of time off stream looking at the interface of some things on the interface, but now I think I'm gonna start by studying the smart contracts and then go back to the interface again, try to understand how everything works.
Io,
Io,
I,
il suo,
il suo,
his,
che,
che,
that,
lui,
lui,
he,
era,
era,
she was,
per,
per,
for,
su,
su,
on,
come,
come,
as, like,
con,
con,
with,
loro,
loro,
they,
essere,
essere,
to be,
a,
a,
at,
uno,
uno,
one,
avere,
avere,
to have,
questo,
questo,
this,
da,
da,
from,
di,
di,
by,
caldo,
caldo,
hot,
parola,
parola,
word,
ma,
ma,
but,
cosa,
cosa,
what,
alcuni,
alcuni,
some,
è,
is,
quello,
quello,
that,
voi,
voi,
you, place,
o,
o,
or,
aveva,
aveva,
had,
il,
il,
the,
di,
di,
of,
a,
a,
to,
e,
and,
un,
a,
in,
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 noi,
noi,
we,
lattina,
latina,
can, of soda,
fuori,
fuori,
out,
altro,
altro,
other,
erano,
erano,
were,
che, quale,
che, quale,
which,
fare,
fare,
to do, make,
loro,
loro,
there,
tempo,
tempo,
time,
se,
se,
if,
volontà,
volontà,
will,
come,
come,
how,
detto,
detto,
said,
un,
un,
an,
ogni,
ogni,
each,
dire,
dire.
tell,
Nice. I haven't been doing this every day, just when I get into stream. I feel like I'm probably must do these things more often to remember. I remember some of them, but not all of them. So it might take me a long time to remember all of them if I don't do it really frequently. I think I'm gonna spend 10 minutes. I'm probably gonna put some music as well. Training Vim. I went a lot faster through some of them because I want to be able to finish this before the first month of the subscription ends. I think I'm gonna renew the subscription for 1 month. Yeah, this one is new. And these ones are not that useful for me yet because they are more specific to Vim. In Vim you have the window so you can press the semicolon and then it gives you some options, I think. To deal with files and stuff like that. But I think is obviously good to learn as well, because at some point I might decide to go over to Vim or Emacs. So might as well take advantage of this. Maybe this is Z, but okay. Not this is probably a new one, but I'm gonna try this Zax. This one is the E one. No. Oops. Yeah, I'm not sure about this one. I think it's a new one. Is new. So remove file name, exclamation mark, remove file name. Window to the left. This is VS, I think. This is new one as well. I'm not really sure. Let's be. Oops. Not sure about this one. WQ. Oops, I was confused this one. Because it's cut, so I press C. I'm not sure, maybe it's Control S. Okay. No idea about this one. This. I don't know. It's easier than I thought to remember the commands. I'm not sure if there are a lot more commands than the ones they have here, but if it's just these ones, then it's not that hard actually. It's hard to remember how to use them, though, when I'm coding. I haven't coded that much since I started doing this, but from the little I've done, it's still really hard to remember when to use each one. I forgot this. G. No, I forgot this one. Delete file name. I feel like this one has too many that I have seen before, and not because I'm not getting enough frequency of the new ones. So remove. Not sure about this one as well. WK. Also don't remember this one. Don't remember this one as well. The last one was a typo, but I knew that. I feel like I just saw this one, but I don't remember. I think I'm gonna do this for more time because I'm not getting the new ones. Yeah, this is hard to remember. I think I need to spend some time doing the delay, so think it's like this. Okay. The hard ones to remember are the ones that don't make a lot of sense intuitively. And the other ones make sense. Oops. I remember, but I wasn't sure. Oops. Oh, forgot about this. No, I think this is another one. Oh, it's correct. This was the one that is different. Oops. I forgot this again. I think this. Oh no. Yeah, there we go. J. Yeah, nice. Ctrl G. Spend just a little bit more time until maybe until I get the next ones. I'm gonna try with the height here. Oh, this is X. New file. I forgot this one. Completely forgot. I think it was Z. Yeah, there we go. Nice. This one is always confusing because I don't know which one is which, but I get the commands. It's basically V and then caps lock V. Beginning. This is something with commands after, something like this, or our command. Yeah, there we go. Maybe it's just W. Nice. Oops. Control G. I'm still forgetting some of them, but it's getting better. I'll get the new ones before I stop. points. Okay, I feel like I remember some of them. I'm probably gonna do this more today. Because there's one or two there that I'm still having trouble remembering. And then once I feel like I remember those, I'm gonna do the task and try to do the other ones. I'm thinking about once I finish all of them, I'm gonna start from the beginning and I'm just gonna do the task for each one. And maybe do iterations like this. Or maybe I'll go one iteration just doing the task and then the next one I start from the second. And I go until I finish all of them. It's probably gonna be maybe not enough, but a good amount. And here I wrote down a bunch of contracts to study from Uniswap. From a file that I was reading here. I think this file or this one. I also figured out that I didn't understand this back then, back until yesterday actually. But when you have this at here, I don't know how you call the symbol in English, but it pretty much means that it's going to a Git repository and is getting the files from there. And it's kind of weird. I was thinking about how many repositories there are on GitHub. I think there are around 200 million Git repos. And I think a lot of applications are dependent on this. So I'm not sure if it's a good practice to do this. And then I also went to this repository, and this is a whole nother project. And I think I installed the project here, which I think is a Redux application to do multi-calls in smart contracts. And a multi-call is pretty much when you do one call, you batch a bunch of calls in one single call. And you can only do that if the smart contract function accepts that. So it's a smart contract function that accepts a bunch of different calls and then makes calls based on that, but I didn't look too much into it yet. One of the challenges of studying this is that there's so many things to study and it gets really complicated. I'm thinking about if there's a better approach than the way that I'm doing now, because I started at the top of the tree with the index actually. I think is this file. Yeah, I started from here and then the second file right away, and this is the problem. It has a bunch of different imports, and then from all these imports there are a bunch of different imports, so obviously it just scales exponentially, because that's how React works. Is there's the tree node and then all the other nodes below. So it's a tree structure. But I'm not sure if I can start from the bottom and then try to get to the top, because I'm not sure which files, what's the best way to understand the design. It's kind of hard. And they are using Redux, which is also something that I'm not sure about. I've looked into Redux to see if it's still relevant, and it seems like people say that it is relevant because a lot of people use it, but it's getting outdated. One of the reasons is because React adopts the stuff that Redux was good for, which is using context, and there's a lot of new libraries as well in React that handle that, and that people are changing. But I saw that one of these libraries is Zustand or something like that, and they have it here as well. And the other one is Jotai, and they also have here Jotai. So I'm not really sure what's going on here, how they thought about creating this, because from the videos I saw, these libraries are supposed to be replacements for Redux. it looks like you can use both of them together. And there's also another thing that I encountered, which is the create star is outdated, seems like, from Redux. And you should use this configure star from from this toolkit, but they have it, they're using create star on another file. Yeah, this one. And the other thing that I also saw is that they are the ones, it seems like they are the ones that created the library, use Web3 React. First time I was seeing this, I saw that they were using use Web3 React as well, but it seems like they are the ones that created it. At least that's what the documentation shows, it sends you to a Uniswap page. This is the file that I wrote all the contracts to study. So it seems like they have a lot of different versions, not a lot, three different versions of the Ethereum contract. The EIP stands for Ethereum Improvement something. It's pretty much whenever someone wants to do an improvement, they do a voting like this or something like that. And then if it gets passed, then they start working on it. So it's different versions of the Solidity or Solidity or Ethereum. And depending on which one, there's extra functions or less functions. And then these ones I haven't seen, so maybe I'll look this up. This one I know is for the tokens, and this I think is for the NFTs, but this one I don't think. I'm gonna research this one as well. Also, it's a combination of tokens and NFTs. And 721. Yeah, the 721 is the NFT. It looks like they have OpenSea as well. No, not it looks like they have OpenSea. So it looks like they also are doing something with NFTs. I'm not sure if are the tokens for the governance that are made on NFTs or if they have NFTs, but I don't think on their site there's anything about NFTs. To suspect that the NFT portion of that exists in this project is for the tokens, for the governance tokens. And I think they forked the compound governance project, and that's how their governance is based. I need to study Redux more as well because I studied a bunch, but I don't remember some things. I know that it uses reducers. It creates the star, uses reducers and the middlewares as well. And you have the store, and then it's a library that is used to manage state, but I don't remember really well. And I also, especially the advanced parts, because I just did the course. I did the free code camp stuff a bunch of time ago, and then I did another course on Zero to Mastery, but I just watched the course and didn't do projects. And then the Redux Tunk. I think Tunk is a middleware for Redux, but I don't remember really well. And it's very confusing how the middlewares and the reducers are used. So I might have to study that. I think that's why I was trying to figure out here or watch videos about it. About TypeScript and reducers. And about Redux. Yeah, the other cool thing here is that they have files with a bunch of addresses. So if I ever need that, it's just they did all the work, so. Oh, this is the declaration of the function. Oh yeah, I remember now. This file contains all of the contract abstractions. So I think the logic here is they put all of these different contracts from Uniswap. They get the ABIs that are the generic ones, but they also support the ones from Uniswap. And then they have these wallet addresses, and then they put all the logic to create different contracts on this file here. I think that's what's going on. This also changed with a version of use Web3 React, where it's not provider anymore. I think it's library the equivalent, but I'm not really sure about it. It's also something that I was trying to figure out, but it's hard. I look at the source code for this version and another version, and the newer version separates this into another type and into the Web3 React Manager, I think, or Web Manager, something like that. And this one, it happens on this here, so I'm not really sure how it's different. But I remember last time that I did this on a project, I put on the index. I got the provider and put it on the index and then wrapped the whole application with the context with the provider. And I don't think they're doing that here. So I think that's what changed, but I'm not really sure how to refactor the stuff here for the new version. It's kind of confusing. Because I remember on the other project, I think was the NFT marketplace, that I also was using the contract kit from Silo and I had to change for use Web3 React, but there were some differences there where I think I got it from, I accessed the provider or the library first, and then one method of the library is to get a contract or something like that. And in this case, you get directly from the library itself, so which is different. Yeah, I think in this case you get the provider from we use Web3 React, but in the other case you have to specify the provider first, and then through the provider you access the thing, but I'm not really sure. And I don't understand really well why they did this, but I suspect it's because of the block time, because on the new version you have to put the interval for listening, I think, through events. this is also interesting. I think is a file or a series of files everywhere that I saw on the application. There's are these the files in some places which are specific to languages. I think it's this one. And I also looked at the not sure if it's telemetrics the way that you say it, but it's a library to get information, just like Google, but it's not from Google, it's from other company. And it allows you to get data from user behavior in the website. I should just do F12 here. I keep trying to go to the file manually, and I forget that I can press F12 on top of the thing, and then VS Code goes there automatically. Yeah, I guess this is the initials for the languages, and this is a library. Yeah, it's external library. Interesting. I think I'm gonna look at this stuff later and look at the contracts first. Initially I thought that it would be better to study the interface first, but now I'm thinking that it's better to study the smart contracts first, because I need to understand, as I read the interface, it's better to understand well what each contract does, the ones that they have here, so I'm able to look at this and think about in my mind what is happening on the blockchain. It's crazy how complex this is as well. It's kind of surprising, and it's very different from the way that I did the applications that I did so far, because I didn't have to put anything that interacts with the blockchain that heavily, let's say. Not sure if that's the right way to put it. But the other applications that I did was, which is not many, but it was just pressing one or two buttons. And I didn't realize that for this one, even though it seems very simple here, there's a lot of functionality behind it, because you have to interact with the smart contracts to do all of this, to access the wallet and to swap the tokens and to see the price of the tokens as well. And I didn't even realize that, because here it comes with the price, I think. Maybe I should connect the wallet to see. Oh, there's also this as well, which is 3 different providers, and I usually just did it with the MetaMask because it's easier. But this one I know how to do it, I think, now, which you're pretty much just set up, using the use Web3 React to set up different connectors, and then you inject these connectors depending on the button that is clicked. And each connector is different because it's a different wallet or exchange. A wallet, actually. And I also think they do the multi-call to... They do the multi-call to get the approval for the 2 tokens and to also deposit the tokens when you do the swap. So they do all in one call. That's what the purpose of the multi-call, I think. Let's do the die. Yeah, this token list is also gonna be interesting to see. Which is another functionality that you kind of take it for granted, but they're probably pulling this. They have to be pulling from somewhere. And I'm not really sure how they are doing. And also all the images here. How they did it. This is also really interesting. Oh, so they're probably pulling from, yeah, all of this stuff. So the Uniswap one, maybe they have it on a contract, but I'm not really sure. Or maybe it's just the pools that exist on the contract. And then these other ones they're getting from the APIs or different event listeners or oracles. And the problem is that I don't have the balance to do the swap, and it's expensive. The gas fee is expensive to trade. Yeah, but it looks like they're not showing the price. I mean, yeah, but if I put a something here, I'm fetching best price. Interesting. Also, they do have a function to get the price. Yeah, they have to, obviously. But it's interesting. This is also something that I wanna see. Hopefully it exists on the thing that I have here. But it's to see if they are calculating the route or just getting from their contract. I think the V2 version also uses the TWAP, which is the time-weighted average price. So it gets the cumulative price between different blocks and does the calculation based on that. But I think the version for V3 is that they use the ticks as well, which gets more complex. But I'm not sure if they use an oracle outside oracle to get some range. I think other exchanges probably do that. High price impact given the current liquidity. There may be a large difference between the amount of your input token and output token. Yeah, because it's a large amount of money. I'm thinking now because in a normal market you have the market makers which manipulate the price through exit and enter by creating narratives so that they control the liquidity. And I'm thinking about how are people gonna do this when it comes to decentralized exchanges. It's different as well because you have that added complexity, I think, on the decentralized exchanges of the arbitrages, because the price fluctuation doesn't follow the market dynamics, it follows the formula. So maybe it's easier because it's predictable. Yeah, but it's still a challenge. If you want to move a lot of money around, it's probably better to do it in the centralized markets, but I'm not really sure. And I remember reading about some hacks of people manipulating the liquidity providers or the liquidity pools so that you can do arbitrage with flash loans. And I think that the TWAP prevents that to some extent, I think. Because there's so many things and the name of classes is not really readable there. I can't really use the dev tools. I think it's not that efficient probably to study it. I think I'm gonna close all of this stuff and I'm gonna start looking at the smart contracts. I'm gonna start the application before. And I'm gonna study V2 because it's easier. I'm thinking about building a simple arbitrage bot just to see how it works. That's why I'm studying this. And one of the reasons why I'm studying. The other is obviously to learn more about the Redux and see what they are actually doing in big projects. This is also a strange thing where in the Redux multicall project there were some files that the path didn't exist inside of the project. Which I think the reason why it works is because when they are importing on the other files, then the path is correct. But I don't think it's really good practice to do this. I'm not really sure why they decided to do things like this. Because in my mind, it would be best to have each thing that is needed for each thing on the respective files, and then obviously as you import, those things will go together. But it's probably because it's either because they didn't see they would need this stuff as they went, as they evolved, and then you kind of got it evolved like this, or it's because they were thinking about the whole thing as the whole all of the repositories as one application, and then they designed it thinking about these connections of one to the other. But it's still not really clear to me. Yeah, this is the one that I have. That I just opened. It's not their application. And for some reason I didn't change anything, so not sure what's going on. Okay, now it worked. I also got the repo for this repository, which is gonna be interesting to look. Maybe I'm thinking about whether or not it's a good idea to try to find this functionality, because I'm curious about how they're fetching the price and finding this input on the application. On the swap page. I think I'm gonna start by studying the smart contract. If I can find the... I'm obviously gonna find it, but... Obviously gonna find it at some point, but it's... If I can find it fast enough now, then I'm gonna see which smart contract they are triggering, and then I'm gonna study that one first. And try to go to the inputs. I think it's gonna be easier to go from there. It's probably this one. And this is for the actual swap. And these are just the types. It's this one that I want. that I want. And so it looks like the pattern is probably pretty much the same everywhere, where you have these actions and then each action becomes a dispatch to the store, and then the store handles the state probably through the reducers and the middlewares, I think. Is one of the things that I've seen that people complain a lot, I think, about React is that there are so many different libraries and so many different, maybe not different ways, but so many different libraries, and that the Redux patterns are not really intuitive. And then depending on the action that is dispatched, there are gonna be, I remember now that there are gonna be, the reducers is something that has a switch statement, and then depending on the action it changes the state through the switch cases. I think that's what's going on here. So it dispatches the field and typed value, which is gonna be handled by the switch case probably at some point through the reducer. I wonder how long it took them to create everything as well. I hate when VS Code does that. It comes from the toolkit. And this is kind of weird because it doesn't say, there's no contract abstraction anywhere. So maybe I'm getting the wrong thing. I think I need to find the reducer that handles that, or maybe I need to look in the state here. Because this doesn't show anything about the smart contracts. And it has to be calling some smart contract to fetch the price, but yeah, this, I remember seeing something about this. Maybe this one is interesting. I hate when VS Code does that. Yeah, these are from the smart contracts, but they're just TypeScript abstractions of it, probably. I don't understand how they are getting though the contracts. Because if you don't have the ABI here anywhere or the address of the contract, then how are you calling the functions? Maybe these are just utilities that you don't really need the smart contract itself. And these are just the declarations, not the code probably. I think this is the Webpack version of the code, and the real code is on the SDK core from Uniswap. So it probably becomes formatted like this once it goes through the Webpack compilation. But I'm not really sure. Here it is, I think. So that's how they get it, I think. And the contracts here. Should factory router 1, router 2. So it's on the state and the hooks, the swap hooks. And I think it's pretty much the way that I was talking about, where the inputs send the actions through the reducers and the state is already on these files here. But I don't understand how the dispatch works. That's the thing though, because they're using Redux libraries. I guess I should probably write them down to study them later. How they work. I'll do it in a different color so I remember. Use bass trade. Oh, I'm gonna write this here as well. Really useful stuff. Because later, if I want to trade, I can just use these addresses. I get it. So if the other one, if these fallback is false, which means that this one failed, and then, or if it's true, then I don't understand this ordering based on the comments here. It should be the other way around, but I guess it's just it doesn't matter. But I don't understand this. I get it, the things, but I don't, because you lose track. There's so many files that start to remember where this stuff is coming from. And go back to the dispatch. But the one thing that I get it is that they are using the smart contracts on the core to do the routing. I think that's pretty obvious from looking at that. And then they do one logic with the smart contracts from the SDK core, and then the other one with the client side, which I also don't understand how it works really well. Upload or V2. Apparently is one. And this one is probably gonna give me some information about how the routing or which contracts being used. And V3 SDK. Do I have the SDK here? Subgraph or SDK. I think I should probably get the V2 SDK as well. I'll do that. Nice.
Is there mercy for those who strive so hard?
As this is a recursive call here, I'm not really sure what's going on. Or maybe not actually. Yeah, this is from the function outside, probably. Yeah, it's from the whole thing, I think. So this just calls this part here. It makes more sense. And this shit's confusing as fuck. Not gonna lie. Maybe this one. This I think I'm getting somewhere. It's probably because it's such a big project, it just takes a lot of time seeing all of these different files and getting a sense of how everything is structured to understand better how everything works. because then next time that I'm looking at it, I'm gonna remember some parts of it, and it makes it easier to think about the specific file while I remember the connection of the other files with the one that I'm looking at. This is mainly the motivation I had between doing the network X stuff in the past, is that I couldn't find out some tool or extension that allows you to see the connection of all of the different files in a project, and I think it would help a lot, because it would be a lot easier if I had the graphical representation of how all of the files are connected, because then I can keep that in mind while looking at the specific file to see the flow of execution of the entire thing. But I guess that's really hard to do because you have to know the specifics of each thing and how they are connected. But there should probably be a way. I don't know why people haven't done it yet. And I was gonna use, maybe I will still use today, there's an extension to see the graphical representation of Solidity smart contracts, so I think I'm gonna try to use that. But I remember trying to use that in the way in the past, and it didn't work for some reason, so it might not work. But I know the library, I've seen videos from people using it, and it's gonna probably help if I can use it to understand, at least on the contract design, how everything is connected. But I don't think that library shows what I was thinking about doing. The library just shows the functions and how they are connected with the other stuff inside of the file, but it doesn't show the software design of how all of the different files are connected with each other, I think. Okay, so this one gets the pulls and this one computes. It's probably on the hooks. Yeah. I'm gonna keep this one in mind. Oh, this is another file. This one. I already lost where I was at. Computer routes. This is the swap. I'll close this one. So is it on the same file? Or is it? don't think it's the same file. No, it is. Just that this function is at the bottom. That's why I was getting confused there. Okay, now I understand. So it finds all the pools and then goes through this stuff here. See this one first. Yeah, so it looks like it's gonna use the SDK core and the SDK. Now there's probably the ones that I should look into first. Maybe just routing. Yeah, whatever. Obviously all hooks are in the hooks file. Just realized that. No. I always forget what rooks means, but it's just files that have the use beforehand. Like use state, use effect. Close this first one so I don't get lost. don't understand what the double question mark means. I think this one is an abbreviation for end, the end statement. I hate when VS Code does that. So it's probably going through all of the different protocols to get the best one. But I don't think that's... The thing that I don't understand is that it is impossible for all of the tokens to be on this thing here. It doesn't make sense. So what happens when you have a trade that the token is not there? Oh, so those are just the bases, probably. So it's kind of like a bridge where you can't really trade one directly for the other. You have to go through the base tokens. And it's probably because there aren't enough pools, I think. That's probably why. So instead of showing the whole trade, they just show you the input and the output. But depending on which one you're trading, there's different routes and obviously different fees with that. Still confusing to understand. So here I think is getting the two initial ones and then the base one compared to the token A, base should compare to the token B, and then all of the base pairs. So I guess I understand now how the logic works, but it's still confusing to me that they only have... How do they determine the base pairs? That's the thing that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Is it an arbitrary choice, or is it based on the previous versions where you had the biggest pools? So I think it's probably based on the previous versions. I remember seeing something on the documentation that's talked about using ETH as the main one, because for obvious reasons is the one that is traded the most, or wrapped ETH actually, instead of ETH for the base. So maybe that's what they're doing here. Just comparing all of the ones that are tradable with wrapped ETH, but it's still a limited list on the beginning here of the other file, actually, the routing file, or this one. I don't remember pretty well. It's probably on the routing one. Yeah, it's the routing one. But it's the same asset. So this is gonna return to this, and then it's gonna implement the reduce on this one. Oh, I guess it's because it's gonna be returned. Now I understand. I was confusing the reduce with the redux stuff, but it's just that it returns an array. That's why it's using reduce. I was overcomplicating things in my head. And then, okay, now I get it. So it basically gets all the base combinations and then it adds the fees to it. If the chain ID equals to supported ID chain, supported chain ID mainnet, concats these, and then if it's not, concats the other fees. which is the supported chains. So maybe it also does trades with tokens that are outside of the supported chains, and that has to be the case based on this logic here. Yeah, because if you have a token that is from another protocol, but then I don't understand how they do it. I have to look more into it to understand. Because if you have tokens that are from different protocols, even these ones as well, on the supported chains, then you can't really pass the token directly. I think you have to mint the token on the new chain and burn the token on the other chain. So it's like you're creating an abstraction of the tokens on the two different chains. Then it passes all the combinations based on this function. The types are really confusing to me as well because I'm not really used to using types. But I guess it's just an array of currencies or undefined and the fee amount. So currency A, currency B, then the fee. It's loading, not exists, invalid. And so the pool keys is the array with all the base tokens and the fees. So if the chain ID doesn't exist, it returns that. It returns an array with the length. Same length as the pool keys. So if the chain ID doesn't exist, that probably means that the user is not logged into the wallet. Now that's probably what's happening because they use Web3 React works with a context. So if the user has the wallet, it's gonna have the chain ID, so it's not gonna return. But I don't understand why they return only they return the array when the user doesn't have the wallet. It's probably because they're gonna use that to display the tokens that are possible, but maybe not. I wonder if I can. Let me see. I don't think it actually disconnects. It just seems, yeah, it's still connected here. But it stops listening for events. So I'm gonna disconnect manually. I just wanna see. Yeah, I still have all the token lists. So maybe this is the reason why they return the length there, the array with the length. Let's see if I find a different playlist here. Never heard this playlist before, but see if it's good. I think I'm slowly starting to understand how it works. It's taking some time, but the more I spend looking at it, the better I understand it. It's just very difficult because there are a bunch of different files connected and a bunch of different functions that lead to other files, so you lose track of the files if you don't have the mapping in your mind of how everything is connected. A V3 core factory address. So if it doesn't have the contracts, let's see if I can find the file. The constant addresses. But it's not accessing it because it doesn't have the ABI and it's not creating a contract abstraction. Oh, this is just the addresses, so maybe it will use later. Yeah, pool tokens is the beginning here. Classes are expensive to instantiate, so this caches the recently instantiated pools. This avoids re-instantiating pools as the other pools in the same requests are loaded. Evict after 128 entries. Empirically, a swap uses 64 entries. Shift and pop, this makes recent entries faster to find. So it's probably like a tree structure, and I think that makes sense. The connection, because I also think that shift and pop, from what I remember, the little code I've done, the three algorithms use the Q, whatever you call that. The three problems, which is shift and pop, the pattern, I think, or shift and pop, or pop. see if I can. Problem is not. It's not really good to try to understand it from here. Whatever. Think I get it. I already forgot where was this being used. Now I have to go back. So the logic here is you have the pages, which are obvious, then you have the state that handles the changes on state. I don't understand why this is on here though, if it is a hook. There's also some confusing things where some of the folders have folders that also contain hooks. Then the utils are for calculations with big numbers, I suppose. Formatting currencies and ticks. Then you have, okay, so all of the state logic is there. And then on the hooks here, you have the, yeah, this is the confusing one because this is also hooks, I guess. Constants, hooks. Connection is just a file with all the connectors for the Web3 React. And I don't understand why these hooks are separated from these ones. I guess these are hooks that are related to, like it says here, the block number currency and stuff like that. And these ones are more general, let's say, of the application, the whole application, and this one's probably from the contracts. I had to guess.
Solid.
Swap pools, yeah.
I'm hollow.
I don't wanna click here and erase this one accidentally. But I think I already saw the multi-call and the use block number. Remember seeing those.
I never thought anything. All I want is blackness and silence.
I think I'm gonna continue to go the way that I was going here so I don't lose track. I think about the other stuff later. Or as I study more, all this I'm probably gonna understand it more. Yeah, so I think all of that comes from here. See. Then this uses this, and then it computes here. I don't think I saw this one, but maybe I did actually. Yeah, didn't look at this, I think. Okay, so this returns all the pools based on all of the stuff that I just looked at, and it looks into the class, so it caches the pool, so it doesn't have to keep searching. So it doesn't have to search every time. You can just go through the cache because it's faster. And then it does that by getting all the base currencies, the base pairs, and comparing them with the tokens in, tokens out, and the base, all the base together, puts that on an array, and then puts the fees on top of that array. Then filters based on the cached stuff. Yeah, I think that's what's happening. And then it returns with fees, then goes to the other file which has the class, which is gonna, let me look at this once again. Nice, this. Yeah, also probably an utility that comes with the core. Mm. So if the token A comes before token B and they are on the same chain, the same network, then it returns this, and otherwise returns the token B first. and it returns that for every token, I think. From the base ones. Yeah, because this one has all currency combinations. That's how it does that. Then on the overall, like this one is, it goes up till here. Yeah, now it takes from the cached class there. Which we factor in value. Oh, I think I understand now. So the compute pool address probably compares the factory address with the tokens, and then it returns the address for the swap, I think. So the factory address contains the logic for how the pairing of each token. I think this is what's going on, but I'm not really sure. Yeah, the factory address contains the addresses for the pools, so it's gonna compute that address, I think, and return there. It returns the value. Which is this or this, and the factory address. Yeah, pool addresses, obviously. I'm just thinking about everything that didn't realize the name. Slot 0 liquidity. So where does this come from? Oh, so that's the ABI. Huh. I'm gonna write this down. Pool state. Yes, pool state interface. So I should probably look into these functions here as well. So it's passing all the addresses, the contract interface, the pool interface, and these are all the pool addresses, and then passes with slot 0 and liquidity. Use memo. Let me just see briefly where these two values are passed here. And so they're used for the conditions. So I think I assume it's checking if the token exists or if there is enough liquidity. I'm not really sure though what this slot 0 actually means. Multi-call, yes. So it's on the multi-call project. I don't get where this comes from. Doesn't have a definition. Oh, here. I'll use arbitrary rank to use block number. Also, this gets the block number probably, as the name says. So this returns the block, latest block and chain ID from the Web3 React, and then returns multi-call hooks with multiple contracts single data. And this is on the multi-core project. But now I'm not really sure if I should go into the other project to understand this. Not sure if it's gonna be worth it to go back into the other files without understanding this one, because it might make me confused there. But I think I like the way that I'm doing this now. I think that's probably how I'm gonna continue to study this, instead of going from the top until trying to go to the other components, follow the files. Maybe I will also do that at some point, or I'll do both methods. But I think this one's more effective because it's based on the functionality of the page. But obviously I can't do that for all the stuff because I don't know. I might miss something if I just go based off the functionality. Because there's things that I might not be, or that I might not look into. I guess the other stuff that I have to look into, and that I could do this, is probably the liquidity, and I think that's gonna be a good way to understand the liquidity as well. Because now I feel like I understand much better what's going on, even though I don't understand exactly what's going on when there's the swapping there, the logic, or how it's finding the best pools. But I think I understand a lot better now than I did before I started this studying, so I'm probably gonna do that for the liquidity as well. Because the liquidity is the one that I think it interests, or that I think is the most interesting. To understand how, both in the contract and in the application, how the logic is being made to select or to translate the inputs into the liquidity pool. Yeah, that's probably what I'm gonna do next, actually. Yeah, maybe because it's gonna take a lot more time than I thought it would, I think I'm not gonna look into the contracts now. I'm gonna look at because I think this was really useful. I wrote down the stuff here that is related, and now I having a blueprint on my mind of how these things are working on the front end. So once I start looking into the smart contracts, I'm gonna be able to link that to the front end to understand better how everything connects. And I think it's gonna be useful to do that for the liquidity as well, before I even look at the smart contracts. Otherwise I might get lost on the contracts, or not get lost, but understand the contracts and not be able to connect that with how the front end works. So let me go back here. Okay, so this is creating the abstraction for the quoter contract. I think I wrote this down here. Or maybe not. Oh, it's on the other file. And like the name says, it probably gets the quotes for the routes. I think it's pretty intuitive. Amount specify routes.map. Man, they're still much better now, I guess. Just from the SDK. So the quoter contract accepts probably these parameters. It maps through the routes, which finds through the stuff here by comparing the tokens with the base ones and adding the fees to it, and then going through the cache, the class cache. I don't remember. Yeah, the class cache computes the addresses based on the factory interface. That's what the point of it. So it gets all the base fees, collects them into an array, the tokens and the base tokens and the token A, token B, puts the fees, and then compares that with the factory address. And that's all the routes, I think. That's what's going on. And then here it maps through the routes. So if there's a specified amount, it returns the mapping, and if there's not, it returns an empty array, which doesn't show anything. But this is just the call data, so this is probably going to be used somewhere. So I have to understand how this works now. So it's probably gets the quote call parameters. So passes the route, the specified amount, the trade type, which is also interesting. I think it's based on the advanced specifications. And then use quoter feature, which is the quoter feature contract. No, it's not the contract. It's going to return a boolean. I don't understand why silo is specifically here. But I guess returns true values to see if it is a silo, if it is a token that is part of the silo network, or just the chain ID. That's probably what's gonna do. this here and then it's passed here. But this is the only one that is passed into this route here, to the call data. Produces the on-chain method name of the appropriate function within code v2 and the relevant hex encoded parameters. The input token either the swap route list of pools through which a swap can occur. I think I'm also gonna do Skyly draw design of our drawing of how everything is connected. And that might be a good idea. Maybe I'll write this down here. Gets all these currencies compared to token A. Now I don't remember if it's the factory address. It's probably the V3 pool state. I think it's the V3 pool, not the factory. Yeah, I'm confusing them because the factory is here. And this is the name of that is passed through the function. But the factory is being used here as well. Tree core factory. Oh, here. So it gets the pool address based on the factory. So it is the factory address. Yeah, the pool is just later, so I was correct. The pool is for finding these lots on this use hook here that I didn't look into it yet, because it's from the other project. This one I also didn't look at, and there was a reason. Yes, because of it's from the SDK. It's all currencies compared with token A, all base currencies with token A and token B, computes them based on V3 factory address. Then Then what does it do with that? Then it returns the pool based on the cash got pool. Square root price, and this is the square root price because of the documentation that they talk about how they have the square root price and the liquidity instead of saving the reserves and the decay. For some reason that I don't remember, but I think I get it. And it's gonna look into the pool based on the cash thing. If there is, returns found, and if there isn't, it creates a new pool. Where is this coming from? So from the SDK. Then adds to the cache of the class. The tree SDK. Yeah, so if it's loading, it returns state equals to loading. And if it's not, returns the tuple. It returns the boolean here. Which is the class. Where is pool state actually? Oh, okay. I don't understand why it returns. Well, I guess it doesn't return the truth. It just filters based on if it exists and is different than no. The 0 and 1. Oh, and I guess this is the first one is the value, and the second one is the index, I think. No, pool state pool. Oh, it also comes from the, so it is the pool that it comes from the cache. So it's checking both if the state exists and the pool exists, and then it returns the value of the ones that exist. State comes from this, which is the enum, I think. Yeah. Because if it doesn't exist, it's gonna be the other ones. I think I get it now. And then after that, so I got all the pools, the routes. I think I remember seeing this, but it has been a long time. That's why I don't remember. Yeah, but I definitely saw this on some course or somewhere. And it's because of some weird shit that JavaScript does. Oh, so it doesn't return undefined if the other value is undefined. It returns the actual value. Where is this coming from? It's from the core. I think I get this. I don't understand why it is not using the loading there instead of this value. If this is just the type of the loading. But whatever. It's probably because of some reason, some TypeScript reason that I don't understand. Yeah, so the real functions come from the smart contracts and the Redux multi-call stuff, which makes sense. And I guess the SDK doesn't contain only the smart contracts, it probably contains the function. So I guess I understand now much better than I did before, where they separate into different projects because each one handles a different kind of thing. But it gets really confusing because some of them have dependencies on the other ones instead of being like isolated things. Yeah, and I would prefer, but maybe there's probably a reason for the way that they decided to do it, but I would prefer if every project could be isolated on its own and the files didn't depend on the other projects, and then obviously they would still communicate with each other based on the functionality. Because maybe they did it this way so they don't repeat the files and reduce the size, which makes sense. Because otherwise you would have to have the same types, for example, for different projects. But I still think that would be better, at least from an outside perspective. It's better to understand, but maybe it's not the most efficient. Because there's just more files and redundant code. think I'm gonna take a break soon because I spent a bunch of time here already. And I'm getting tired. But it was good because I understood, I think, everything when it comes to the small swap functionality there. Now I just have to go into these contracts, into these projects, and then look for these things. But I think before I even do that, I'm gonna do the same thing that I just did for the liquidity. And then once I have all of the stuff from the liquidity and the swapping, then I will go into the other projects and try to understand the way that it works. So it's a big int library. It makes sense. Which one of these is better though? Yeah, I don't understand why. Maybe this one is older and this one is newer. That's why they went with this one. But for me, it would make more sense to go with this one. This is the one that I've seen the most often as well. Or maybe it's the other way around and this is the new one and this is the old one. And the reason why it's not very used is because it's new. Oh. Oh, okay, so this is probably better. This makes sense. But I don't understand why this one is not used most often. If it is better. The reason why it's better, according to this guy, is that it's easier to go to. It's gonna be implemented with JavaScript, so it's easier to go from that library into JavaScript, I guess. Ah, okay. So the downside is that it doesn't support floats. I'm gonna watch a video about this as well. Okay, so yeah, I think this finishes for the routes. So let me go back to the application and look for, see if I can find the top of the liquidity stuff. Oh, maybe not. Actually, this was the client side. Damn. Oh, actually, it's the same page. No, it's different. And I have a feeling that I've seen this before. Oh, this was the one that I was looking at before. That's why. The one that I closed to look into the client side. I actually think it's probably better to pass this stuff into the other. Okay, so it's going to return this object with all of this stuff needed. Comes from the arguments, token and currency. Where does this come from? And this doesn't make sense to me. So here it doesn't take the router preference. Trade type, the amount. The currency. Okay, I get it. So yeah, this part is the one that I don't get really well. How can you get the currency based on the amount specified? It's a little bit confusing. And I guess it's just getting the amount based on the translation of the big int stuff. Big int. Then it's passing to this here. And then it returns this object with all of this stuff. Here we are. Oh, I get it. Okay. So this is not actually getting from the smart contracts, it's getting from their API. So the trade type is just to check if you're calculating from the out into the in or vice versa. You get it now. gonna obviously write this down. Yeah, so the client side uses the factory and this API uses the smart router. And then it returns the data from the API call, which is gonna be a response object, I think. I'm not really sure actually. I know it's gonna return from the call, but I'm not sure if it is a response object or not. It's probably not, because maybe it is actually, but maybe it's not, because I think you can only access data if it's converted from the response into something else. But I don't. Yeah, it's probably not the response. It's the conversion of that because of the await, which is gonna have a header and data, I think. And data is gonna be this stuff here, or the code from the smart side router. Smart router side or something like that. Smart order router. Okay, I think I got this file.
Few people laughed. Few people cried. Most people were silent.
Let's see if there is another.
One way or another. Vishnu.
Okay, so I'll use this one. Let's see this first. So that's when it uses this library. As far as I understood from the recoil explanation, which is similar to Jotai, I think, it works pretty much as if you have atoms that float on top of the application. It's kind of like, it's different from using, I don't remember if it's context or something like that, that goes from the top of the tree. It's still, yeah, the context is still connecting two different sides, two different nodes in two different sides of the tree, but it stays on top of the tree, and the atom, instead of staying on top, it can stay on parallel, if that makes sense, from the... So it doesn't require you to load the application or something like that, and it makes it more efficient because of that. And maybe I should... Because their explanation is really good, actually, the guy. It's a shame he doesn't have more videos. I think there is a way is to go in their sites. Yeah, this explanation here is really good. So it's pretty much like this instead of staying on top of the tree here. Yeah, and before this is coupling when you have the providers from the context. And then the atom is more like the other one. Like this instead. And I don't remember the differences really well. I know that doing that with the atom is more efficient. And I think the case when you use it is when you have two pieces of state that are gonna move simultaneously. That's as far as I remember. And it makes it more efficient that way if you use it with this. See if I can go through the... It's gonna go to the file, to the source code of the GeoTie. So I'm gonna study this later as well. Just...
GeoTie, a new atom.
Oh, this blockchain, fine. This is for the block number. It's probably one of the atoms that holds multiple block values, and that's why it's better than doing it with context, I suppose. And this one is the other one. So this one I think is more, for me at least, was more simple to understand than the client side, I think. Also, this probably doesn't get the block number, it gets the data for the block number, for the most recent block, I think. That's probably what this is doing, which is the result of the quotes, and then passes the currencies with the trade type. And then maps. So the route is the tuple for each. So the code results has all the routes, and each route is a tuple or a list with the amount in and amount out. Amount in is the first element, and the out is the last one. Returns which one it is from v2 or v3. And not that complicated actually. Of course everything, the whole thing is complicated, but this one is not that difficult. The client side was more difficult to understand, I think. It's still very difficult to understand without being able to visualize everything that is being passed around and how these objects look like. But I think that's it for this. Use client-side router if routing API trade fail or is not supported. Routing API trade is used. Yeah, I think I'm done for now. I'm gonna take a break and I'm probably gonna come back today to study the liquidity stuff. I'm gonna do the same thing that I did, but I'm gonna go to the pool and I'm gonna try to figure out the functionality, then write everything down on this file, and then after I'm done with that, I'm gonna go over these functions here, these projects, and try to understand the smart contracts. It's gonna take some time because it's a very complex project with multiple different files and multiple different projects connected. So I have no idea how long it's gonna take me to fully understand how everything works. But I think I'm gonna do this until I think I finally get it and understand how the whole project is structured. So I'll probably come back soon. So see you then.